was walking by piece, right? And I whispered to my wife, I said, don't you think pinball machines are a piece of art?
They are, absolutely. And I know for a fact that people do collect them as pieces of art.
All right, finally, favorite pinball expo.
Recently, it's been Houston Arcade Expo because it's just one big party. Everybody's there. No one's taking themselves too seriously. It's becoming the meetup point. It was very risky. We're like, man, if we could sell 50 of these, which I thought was way too many, then it would break even at that point.
Hello, my name is Jamie Birchall, and you are listening to and or watching our podcast called Wormhole Pinball Presents. And today I'm really excited to be joined by a very special guest, musician and pinball designer, Scott Danesi. Welcome to the Wormhole virtually, Scott.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I'm glad to be here. This is really cool. And Jamie, I haven't seen you in a while.
I know.
It's been quite a while. Maybe Houston, I think.
It has been Houston. Interesting. The first time I met you was actually on stream. I don't know if you remember this. It was the 2022 Space City Open at the Houston Arcade Expo. And Total Nuclear Annihilation was in the tournament. And something went wrong with it. And like the manager calling his bullpen, the closure came in. You came off stream and you fixed it on stream. I don't if you...
Oh, yeah, I think I remember that. I think it was blown fuse or something.
Yeah.
And we didn't have any fuses. And I think we, maybe this was it. Maybe we pulled it from, this happened once at Houston, where we pulled fuses from like Cactus Canyon or something. Like Cactus Canyon.
Exactly what you did.
And it popped the fuses back in there and everything was fine.
Yeah.
It was awesome. It was pretty funny. I think there were a lot of tournament players that were kind of mad at me for that because there was, they had already they were not doing they were doing well or something or not well, and then they had to go and play again. So it just kind of they felt like it stirred up what could have happened.
Well, they might have. Who knows?
Who knows? It's all part of the fun. I was having a good time. So
no, it was great. As you can see behind me, the Wormhole is actually closed and under a little renovation. So please pardon our dust. We like to go through renovations and. It's our little museum here, so with signs and all that good stuff. So, as always, these interviews are very informal. I love interviewing and I love pinball, so why the hell not do a podcast so I could do both?
Yeah, absolutely. And I also love informal stuff. So
there we go.
We're ready to go.
All right. I am absolutely fascinated with musicians and how they develop their craft, if you will, right?
Yeah.
Did you study music in school?
All right. So no, I did not study music whatsoever. Now, with a little, well, I'll put a caveat to that. So I started in junior high. I joined up with choir. So I was just a little kid. I'm like, I needed something to do. Someone, I don't know if it was one of my friends or somebody recommended that I join up with choir, and I was like, sure, I'm like, I don't like singing or anything, but I'll do it and see what happens, right? It's a community of people and it should be fun. And from there I started, I was never good, I'll tell you that much, but I started really getting an appreciation for all this music writing and these boards and all this stuff, and I developed like an ear for music to the point where I didn't know any like scales or chords or anything, but if someone gave me a note, I could hum another note next to it that would sound really good with it, and then a third one, and I could do that, and just like by ear being like, oh, that's cool. And I was able to do that because in choir you have a bunch of people singing, right? And it's not just one note, it's multiple notes. So my part might be 3 steps up or 5 steps up or something. So it's like, it's just different, right? So eventually you get this, ear for it, and you get really good at it. So that's like actually how it started. I was also in band for a while where I played clarinet. So I kind of also, I didn't do that. That was like such a short-lived thing for me. I don't even really remember much of it, but yeah, the choir thing, I did that all the way through high school. And at the end of high school, I called it quits. But during high school in, I think 1996 was when I actually started getting really interested in electronic music and started really digging into how electronic music was made, I had some really cheap computers and stuff where I installed software called Acid Pro, and I started sampling and doing all sorts of crazy stuff. And I ended up putting out a CD in 96 or 97. Actually, I'm thinking about it might have been 98 actually. But I put a CD out with just a bunch of sampled, like remix sampled stuff that I did. And I had a couple tracks on there with some of my other buddies who were also experimenting with stuff. And we ended up like giving a bunch of those away to a bunch of people in high school. And I actually did find one of those recently, and it's terrible.
It's awesome.
So yeah, it's neat. I did rip it digitally, so I got most of it. Some of it was scratched up, so it's
so that would not my first. That would be your first album. What was your really first commercial?
The first real album, like the one that actually hit like streaming services and the real deal thing, was Component Breakdown. That was in 2008. And yes, for me, it's like hard to hit, dates properly. I might mess.
Oh, it's something.
Yeah, 2008. It's around 2008 that happened.
No.
That was an album where I was experimenting a lot with breakbeats and doing some more interesting things than the normal techno stuff that I was doing. But before that album, I did put out a vinyl in 2005. And I did it because I wanted, at the time I was doing a bunch of raves, and I was really heavily involved in this rave scene. So I wanted to put some of my music, I wanted to be able to play some of my music. We didn't have MP3 players or CD players or anything like that. The rave scene had Technique turntables, in-ear mixers, and that's it. Just tons of sound equipment. So you have to figure it out yourself. So I was like, well, if I want to play my music, I have to press this on vinyl. So I saved up a bunch of money. One of my other buddies pitched in a little bit, and we got a full LP, like stamped and done. I think I made 500 copies of it. So that's still floating around actually. And I think I found the last like 20 of them, and I put them up for sale on Pinball Life actually. And a bunch of people bought them.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I don't know why people bought it, but
because it's cool. That's why they bought it, because it's really cool. How would you describe your music to someone who hasn't heard it yet?
Oh man, it depends on what era, because I went through a lot of strange changes throughout my career there. So I did a lot of, like early on, I did a lot of sampling because that's nice and easy. You start understanding how things are done. And then I went right into like really hard techno, because that was what I was doing at these raves. And then from there, I started branching out and doing more of the breakbeat stuff and doing more syncopated, like just different drum patterns and stuff to make it more interesting. And then, man, I don't even know. It's still a very techno style that I do. But I've explored more lately with more syncopated stuff and drum and bass. So basically fast breakbeats. So that was a Resistance album.
Did you grow up in a creative environment? I mean, was creativity encouraged in your house, and art and all that?
Oh, absolutely. So to give you a background on my like home history, which is this is really cool. My dad is an architect, very technical person, and my mom makes pottery for a living. So she is a professional artist and has been for even before I was born, and still does it to this day, which is pretty impressive. And yeah, my parents were always letting me do things like take apart electronics and, listen to music loudly in my room, that kind of stuff. And we'd always do they would, whatever I really wanted to do, they would try to nurture something, right, until something stuck. But I had ADD real bad, and I still do so I was all over the place with all sorts of different stuff. But eventually, I think it all worked out really well.
Absolutely.
Actually, because they did their best to kind of nurture what I wanted to do and humored me at the time. So yeah, that was, it's really, I'm really grateful for that.
That's awesome. My wife and I just came back from New York City, literally just the other day. And we went to the Met. I think I'm sporting the Met hat. Yeah. And the Museum of Modern Art. And I was walking by piece, right? And I whispered to my wife, I said, don't you think pinball machines are a piece of art? And she's like, she goes, yeah, they really are. I mean, do you agree with that? Do you think they are just absolute pieces of art?
They are, absolutely. And I know for a fact that people do collect them as pieces of. So to me personally, they're money-making machines that are really fun to play, right? So for me, I'll play my games. I don't have any collector games back there. I do have a Cactus Canyon LE back there, but I got the LE because I just really liked the topper and the side rails and stuff and the way it looked. But we play the crap out of these things, and I don't like my niece and nephews come over, and I'm like, they're like stepping on them and stuff, and like push, and I'm like, I just don't care. I'm like, they're just things to have fun with, But there are a ton of people that do collect these as art pieces, and they are.
Tim's one of them, of the Wormhole here, because we're in the process of this huge expansion project here in Houston. I've talked a bunch on the podcast, but we're building a museum, and it's truly a museum of art. And we view the Wormhole itself as an art museum. So
yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's really cool too, because what's interesting about this stuff is it's kinetic art. I don't know if you've ever been to some contemporary museum where they have things that are more kinetic. So it's not just, like it wouldn't be just paintings or sculptures or whatever. But I've been to a lot of these when I was a kid, and it just fascinated me. Like I remember specifically, there was one thing. It was a glass case, right? And you can't get into it. And what's happening is there's a big chain that's going around the top side of it, and it has a piece of metal hanging off of the chain, right? And this metal is moving around inside this thing, and there's different magnets and things and spinny stuff that this ball is hitting and interacting with as it moves around. And it's just this total kinetic thing. And it's very strange. Like it'll stick to a magnet for a while until the little pulley system pulls it away and it flops off and it goes and it hits something because it has a lot of velocity. Like the really cool things like that. Like you ever seen one of those strobe light things, like where it's like a ceiling fan with a strobe light, and they got it timed exactly perfect to do an animation in 3D. Those are super cool. But yeah, that kind of stuff is crazy. And that's what a pinball machine is.
It is. So what got you into pinball? Was it the combination of the music, art, video games, everything that a pinball machine is?
Yeah, well, when I was younger, my dad picked up a pinball machine, and it was actually the pinball machine he had in high school. His buddy was holding on to it for him, and then he picked it up and he cleaned it all up, got it working, and we all would play that.
Which game?
It's Capersville, and I still am eyeing it. He will not give it up, but I don't know if you've ever played Capersville though, but it's super cool. It's an old EM. It's a Bally EM. But it has a multi-ball on it. It has two ways of getting multi-ball, which is really interesting. And the artwork are those pointy people, that pointy people art. You ever seen that?
Yeah.
It's super. But anyway, so he had that, and we played it. We had a really good time with it. And then I didn't think much else of it. I went off to college, knowing I liked pinball. I played a lot of South Park in the bowling alley at the student center in Carbondale. And so that was kind of just kept me going on that a little bit. And then I decided after college, that to really get into coin-out machines. I was really fascinated by arcade machines. Anything you could stick a coin into, I was fascinated by, because I was like, these things are not supposed to be owned by people, right? By civilians, right?
Right.
So I'm taking, what was my first game? I don't even remember. Was it an Arkanoid maybe? I think I picked up an Arkanoid, and I restored it really nice. And then, actually before that, I built a Nintendo, like an actual arcade cabinet out of wood, and put a computer inside of it, and then just had a Nintendo with joysticks and buttons. And it was just an emulator. It was one of those like round things that's totally legal,
Right.
But so I did that. And then I got the Arkanoid and restored that, and just kept going from there. Built a driving simulator as well. And then, Pac-Man and all sorts of other stuff started coming in and out. And then one day, this like clicked for me one day. I was looking around for arcade equipment, just on Craigslist, right? Because that was the big thing where you'd find everything. And I saw a Williams high-speed pinball machine, and I was like, I'm looking at it, and I'm like, man, it would be really cool to have a pinball machine like in my house, you know? I'm like, but they're so expensive, like really, really expensive. So I'm looking at it. It's $350. I'm like, I don't know, man. That's a lot of money, you know? It's and but I did it. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go get it, knowing nothing about how to move pinball machines. Just I know how to lift heavy arcade machines, and I've got my brother who's really strong with me. We go press truck. We go get this thing. The guy's doing someone else offered me, you know, $400 for it. And I'm like, well, that person's not here. So we're taking this. And my brother's like, yeah, he said $350 right now. I'm here. So the guy's like, okay. So I picked up this machine, had, you know, some playfield wear in the cabinet. Wasn't great. But I had no clue how to get the head to come down. I saw that there was hinges there. I couldn't get into the back box. So we took the legs off of it, stuck it in the back of my brother's pick truck with the head up, but like against the, you know, actually just against the cab. So like it wouldn't be terrible. But oh man, like looking back at that now, it's like so easy to get in there, you know. But yeah, so that was the first one I got. I brought it home. It smelled terrible, like cigarettes, which was great. That's very nostalgic when you open up one of those. And I started kind of playing with it. There was a bunch of stuff broken on it. And I ended up calling it local tech to kind of show me what to do because I had no clue what I was doing. I don't remember who it was or anything, but they came in, did some, you know, adjustments and things like the pop bumpers needed to be adjusted, and like some of the cables came unplugged and I didn't know where they went. But anyway, long story short, I got myself a high speed for $350. It was junk, but amazing. And my buddy came over like the night I got it. We got it running. Or the night it got running. The night it was running after the guy came in and fixed it. My buddy came over and we played it for like 6 hours straight, just having beers and having a good time with it.
That's pinball.
That's it. Yeah. And I realized right then, like that night, like sealed it for me that I had to sell every single arcade machine that I had and buy only pinball machines.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I know you've told this story a ton, but real quick, if you can.
Sure.
How the hell did you design and build TNA? Total Nuclear Annihilation Pinball Machine. Where'd you buy that? When did you build it? Like,
it's 2015 I started doing it. So I was kind of mad. So like 2015 was interesting because before that I did Earthshaker Aftershock. I don't know if you have ever seen that or heard about it, but I built that thing as a a software retheme for Earthshaker because I acquired the Earthshaker #2 prototype from Williams. So it was the second one off the line. And like any collector of any rare, super clean, amazing prototype thing, I ripped it apart, pulled all the boards out of it, put a PRX system in it. I drilled into the playfield and put an auto launcher in it.
Jeez.
And what else did I do? Put some LED strips in the back, took the back glass out, put in a closet, put a clear piece of glass in there instead. And I just, you know, of course, normal things, right?
Right.
So I built that one first. I redid all the software on it just to expose myself to how that software was made because I was fascinated with it. And then after that, a bunch of my buddies were harassing me to build a game because they were all building custom games from scratch, like actually building the games themselves. But I was like, I don't know if I got time for that or the skills. So I sat on that for a while, and then Wizard of Oz came out right around then. And
okay.
I saw them do there was the first time I'd seen a machine with full RGB LEDs in it. And I was just fascinated by the fact that the computer could control all those LEDs. And I looked at Wizard of Oz, and this is not a dig at JJP whatsoever, but sometimes when new technology comes out, like full RGBs in a playfield like that, you overuse the technology, right? So Wizard of Oz is absolutely just rainbows constantly all the time, and it's always changing colors and doing crazy stuff, which is fine because they're showing off the technology. I get it. But I was like, man, if I could have that technology and I could program that to look like a normal pinball machine, like have white LED, just make all the GI white and then all the inserts just a single color, and then like when it really counts, blast a full sweep of color through it that's a different color, right? To just make an insane impact on something, like that would be really fun to do. So I started thinking, I'm like, well, I could just build a game, like, and there are no games out right now that are, more simple games like, Cosmic Gunfight or Starlight or those old Williams games that I really liked, right? The single level things. And, so I can design something like this and build it. So I just started digging in and building stuff and putting things together in SolidWorks because I'm a engineer guy. So I did everything in SolidWorks. And started, I had some industry connections and I started building it and doing all this stuff. I worked at Pinball at that time too.
Okay.
So yeah, I had a lot of connections through that. And then, one thing led to another, and I built a pinball machine, a whitewood pinball machine with full RGB, and just did crazy light shows on it, but not consistently crazy. So it really makes an impact on it. And that was really what I wanted to do. Then I also said, oh, well, this pinball machine needs music, so I could do that. So I started writing music for it. And then the rest of it just kind of kept going, and I kept being obsessed about it until I was talking with Charlie one day, and he was like, he offered to make a few and see if anyone wanted to buy it.
That's what fascinates me, though, too, right?
Yep.
It's like, do they just acquire the rights to it? Or, I mean, how does that happen?
Yeah, so the way that works is, so Charlie and I have a really good relationship. So how that really happens is, in this particular case, I don't know if this is the same way with other companies or not, but it's still my game and made by myself. It's just manufactured by Spooky because I have no capability to manufacture anything, right? Even building one game for me in my spare time is next to impossible. So Spooky's like, hey, we could build some of these and then we can write up this thing where we'll sell them and then we'll give you X amount of dollars per game that sells. And then, if you sell 50 of them, it'll be great. Because then, go buy some beer to go do this other stuff. It's just extra income at that point. I was like, okay, well, I guess it can't hurt, right? So we talked about like bill of materials and where the money would come from for starting this up. And Terry at Pinball Life put up a lot of the parts up front to make this happen, right? Like acquiring the P-Rock system, everything for Spooky, so Spooky wouldn't be out a ton of money to try and start this up. And we planned, we're like, man, if we could sell 50 of these, which I thought was way too many, then it would break even at that point.
Okay.
And it was very risky. They were doing this, like Terry and Charlie and everybody who was excited about this was doing it as a favor to me, to just get the game out and have some people enjoy it, because there was a lot of people when we bring the shows, there was a bunch of people playing it and they really enjoyed it, so they wanted to buy it. But you never know what people actually are going to do. Right. Yeah. But
a recruiter, I can't help myself. I ask HR questions like I wanted to get work. Did you get an agent?
Did I get an agent? No, but I do have a lawyer. But no, right.
I was going to tell you, if you don't have a lawyer.
Yeah, no, I definitely have one. Okay. A lawyer that understands pinball, which is even better.
All right.
So, so that all worked, like that was how that worked out. And that was just a really good thing for everybody because we did sell more than 50 games. So Spooky was able to not lose money on that project, which I was worried about because as a small company like that, it's really difficult to absorb something like that. If you only sold like 40 of them, but you have parts for 50 and it's like 10 machines worth of parts is a lot of money worth of parts. Yeah.
Do you know how many they sold the first run?
The first run was 550.
That's not bad, buddy.
Which was absolutely.
Did that just blow your mind? Did it just?
It did. It humbled me a lot. I have a really bad imposter syndrome. So I was like, this can't be real. I'm like, someone's messing with me. Like this,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like this isn't like this game. Like this game is just everything that I wanted in a pinball machine. I didn't think about others besides like my closest friends. I know what they like as well, and I just took all that stuff and I just put all of that together in a pinball machine, and I just didn't care what anyone else thought about it, and that's what happened. And I guess more people than I thought liked that vision and liked that style that I had put in there, which it was so surprising to me, actually.
So
I honestly, I thank every single person that had faith in that project and bought the game.
well, congrats again, because TNA is awesome.
Thank you.
You
Thank
know,
you so much.
just really is. And then they ran how many more later?
It was 250 after that.
There you go too. So let me ask you a question. This HR, I can't help.
Mm-hmm.
Does Spooky then hire you full time after the success of TNA, or you would?
No. Yeah. So not even close. So my full-time job is at Pinball Life, and it still is.
Okay.
Like 9 to 5, I am at Pinball Life working on just stuff for that company. Now, when I have an agreement with Terry, though, who's my boss, who owns Pinball Life, that I come home and I can moonlight for whatever I want to do, right? As long as there's no insane conflict of interest, it's fine, right? Yeah, so all that stuff, like when you saw Rick and Morty come out,
Right.
it was all done part-time, like that, not even part-time, like it's just after hours and on the weekends and stuff. And that game was crazy because I just did the playfield layout there, along with trying to help get everything together with the rules and all this other stuff. But that I had a team of people to actually do the heavy lifting, right?
Okay.
So I built a whitewood for it, and then passed over all the physical files for the actual game so they could make it. And then from there, I started working with Eric Prepke and getting the code done, right? And working on that stuff. Bowen came in and verified a bunch of stuff with us. David Best was doing all the animations and all the display stuff. I ended up doing all the sound work for that as well. And the artist was done by Adult Swim's artist. So all the art was done that way. And Charlie kind of handled all that. And it was really, really refreshing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because for me, I could not do TNA again, and I can't. Right now, I wouldn't be able to do it.
So there is a question everyone wants to know about Rick and Morty real quick. Right. And it's what's up with the left ramp, man?
What's up with the left ramp?
Why the torture, Scott? I mean,
yeah. Well, okay. So take a good, like, people listening to this, take a good look, open up like a good picture of that playfield really quick. And I want you to notice something interesting that I did that not a lot of people see. The left side of the playfield on Rick and Morty is really, really wacky. I purposely pulled all the shots out of the normal spots where they're supposed to be and where you expect them to be. And I moved them so that they're not where you expect to be. Now look at the right side of the playfield, and you'll notice that every shot is exactly where you want it to be, or where you would expect it to be in a pinball machine, right? The ramp's in the proper spot, the turnaround's in the spot, the orbit's in the correct spot, the Meeseeks target's in the correct spot. There's like a little magna save over there. There's a normal slingshot over there. But then you look over to the left again, and everything is chaos, right? It's a very cool and unique thing that I had in my brain that I wanted to try, because Rick and Morty is such a chaotic show that I wanted to make chaos, but not have every single thing be chaos. But that game, though, maybe it's a little bit too hard physically. I don't know, but I think
I like it. I really
difficult.
We have one here.
Yeah, and we need to trap up. If you're not trapping up, you're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. Well, I've noticed that.
Yeah.
You also worked on Alice Cooper's
I did.
Mare Castle?
Yep. Yeah, I did the sound effects for that. So, and I kind of just mastered all the original sounds from Alice Cooper as well, all the music. I'm just trying to help out Spooky as much as I could, right? I like to help people out that do need help, right? So that's why I kind of jump around in a lot of different places, because I'm just trying to help out people that I want to help at the time, which is a really, it's a very privileged thing to be able to do, to tell you the truth. Like the fact that I can just hop around and I have these agreements with these companies, like, hey, I'm going to help you for a while, and then I'm going to go help this person for a while, and just kind of jump around. It's really nice,
So talk about, a good segue. Talk about your relationship with Multimorphic. How did that come about?
Well, I've had a relationship with Jerry for since 2008. I was a big fan of his homebrew community that he started, and I helped build that really early on. And that Jerry was the only option for custom control boards at the time when you wanted to program your own game. There wasn't much else out there besides like free WPC and some other like assembly things. I think they were really hard to use. But Jerry had this whole thing. So what we did was I just was helping him the whole time. And what's interesting is with TNA, I built it with that multimorphic system in it already. So even building TNA with Spooky, I'm helping Spooky get another game out the door, and Multimorphic selling boards to Spooky at this point now, which is really cool. It's like it kind of helped two people with one thing. And then from there, Spooky got really good momentum going, like after like all these games. And then I was able to take a break for a little while, which I definitely needed, because you can't just consistently work after hours all the time. It drives you nuts. It's too much. Like, it really is. You got to do fun things for yourself and for family and things like that. So after that, I started doing some stuff for Jerry, and then, I was like, I have this really good idea for a Multimorphic, a P3 game, right? I'm wondering, like, let me formally pitch it to you, and you tell me what you think, right? And I'm thinking it's going to go horribly, because I'm saying, let's go ahead and not use the LCD very much. Let's go ahead and not use the upper flippers. Let's go ahead and not use the screen sensing technology very much. And I'm like, let's go ahead and just put inserts on the playfield that are static and always there no matter what, even in practice mode. And I'm like, this is going to go bad, because I'm basically telling Jerry, let's not use all the technology that he's built. Right. And I was like, I was really nervous about that. But he was like, that's actually a good idea. We need a contrast in what we're doing. Right. And I'm like, well, that's awesome. Well, great. So I pitched this whole thing to him with the ship, and then the storyline of Final Resistance, and how it's still this cyberpunk thing that people like, and it's really aggressive and in your face, just like TNA is. And he was on board with it. So we came up with a timeline, got a team together of people. I got to work with, an engineer at Multimorphic, a really good programmer. It's a lot of fun. Like, that whole team was just amazing on that thing. But that's how that started. Yeah.
Final Resistance is one of my favorite game kits for the P3 platform.
Thank you.
Our P3's in the vault. We have a vault, and that's where place they go. It's getting a flipper upgrade. So once we get the new flipper upgrade, it's hopefully coming back with a new Final Resistance. That's our goal here. So
that's awesome. Very cool.
How do you design that pin different? Is it different to develop a game kit on the P3 platform, different than building a standalone machine?
Oh yeah, big time. It's different because you've got a different set of limitations, right? So there are things that are more limited on the P3 and things that are more unlimited on the P3, right? So it's a give and take versus a traditional game. So let's say, for instance, the actual lower playfield, right? On the P3, I can do whatever I want with the lower playfield, with art and with inserts and whatever, and I can change them on the fly, and I can make, game modes that actually use like scoops and stuff and the touchscreen capabilities. So that's something a traditional game you don't have the ability to do. You have to design a playfield, and you have to hope that you've got all the inserts in there for when you develop the software later on, really further, way down the line. So there's that. But with the P3, you also have a limited physical section in the back, right, where the actual wood playfield is, which is about a third of the playfield, which isn't a terrible limitation by any means. I was able to do some really cool stuff, really cool shots, and really cool patterns with that. confine or resistance there. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely different. I don't know at all how to code for the P3. So I was heavily reliant on Michael Ocean, who was coding for that. Like, I don't know how to do graphics or any of that kind of stuff. So it seems a little bit scary at first, but there are a lot of people homebrewing on this thing right now, and it's totally doable. So.
Yeah, we played Dungeon Door Defender here.
Yeah. Michael just took that one. Yeah.
Lunatics. We played it.
Absolutely.
And we streamed it, and Michael came on the stream.
It's awesome.
It was really cool. So, you know David Van Ness very well from your spooky days. When did you get involved with Labyrinth?
Let's see. That was probably...
And was that when they were known as the Mystery Pinball Company at the time?
Yeah, they were known as Mystery Pinball. So I knew what David was doing ahead of time on that. And I helped him with some numerous back-end things, as he's spinning up this company. There's a lot of knowledge that I have for like how these companies function, what some companies do well, what some companies don't do as well. So I'm giving advice like that, and then working on helping with sound and stuff for them, and just all sorts of random things for them just to help get them going. But again, that's that whole thing where it's like, I'm going to help David for a little while and help him because, I can choose to do that if I want to, But yeah, that's, So yeah, David and I have been friends a very, very long time, actually.
What an amazing launch of a company, though, Barrels of Fun. They're top-notch across the board, and we're really happy here at the Wormhole. That's such a good friendship with them, so.
Absolutely. Yeah, David really knows what he's doing. He'll pretend like he doesn't know what he's doing, but he does.
So
he'll be like, hey, I'm just doing, I'm just trying to do what's right. I'm like, yeah, you know what you're doing.
What types of themes interest you most when they come to you and say, hey, can you help us with this? Or how do you pitch Scott Danesi to get him to help you?
I don't know. Like right now, I'm not working on anything, which is really nice. So that's just super nice. I'm taking a break. I'm working on some little things here and there. I'm working on some like little fun things for me. Like I built a little synthesizer module. That's not pinball related, but so if someone wants to actually like come to me and pitch something to me, I don't know. It depends. Like Charlie hit it out of the park with Rick and Morty because I was like, I don't want to make another game. And like TNA was too hard, like too much time. Took too many years off my life. Very stressful. I want to just have fun. But then he was like, well, how about if I got your favorite cartoon that you watch all the time? And I'm like, dang it. So that's how he won me over on that one. But yeah, I don't know. I'd love to try another unlicensed theme.
Okay.
But I don't know how far I can push that because I've already done 2. So that might be a little too much. I'm not really interested in rock theme pins, though. I'll tell you that. Like this.
I was going to ask you, what is there a genre that you would stay away from? So thank you for answering.
Yeah, rock theme pins, most likely. There's so many of those now. There's plenty.
Yeah. You're good.
All good. We're okay. We're okay.
How did you develop?
Wait. I got hold on. Unless it's here.
Unless it's who?
Unless it's Slayer or something like that, then we're talking like that's the exception.
Well, you heard it here first. Slayer.
Fear Factory. Okay, so I got a couple. All right, I take back what I said.
There you go. No worries. I told you it's a very easy interview. No worries. How did you develop the arcade tournament software that's on your website?
Oh man, that's a throwback. Holy crap.
Like how
That's actually a really cool story.
Let me know.
That before. Okay, cool. So back in the day in 2011 or 2010, even before that, 2009, I was going to a lot of tournaments at my buddy's house, and we were having, we would just do really quick, like, score sheets, for whoever got the highest score, right? You write your scores down, and then we just add up the points, and then whoever wins, takes it. And I'm like, man, I'm like adding up all this stuff and typing or like writing these scores out and doing all this math and stuff is terrible. I'm like, I can do this in Excel, right? Because I'm an information systems technology guy. So like I build databases for a living at this point. And I'm like, man, I can do this in Excel in like no time. So I set up this Excel document that you would automatically type players' names in and games and scores, and it would automatically do all this for you. And that worked for a little bit. And then I was like, well, like I can make it. And then people were getting confused about it, like breaking like, I don't know if you use Excel very much or anything, but it's like,
Sure.
you can break those formulas like CMC.
Yeah, you can mess.
Yeah. And it's just like constantly messing everything up. So people are typing stuff in the wrong spots and breaking it. So I was like, this is terrible. So I decided to just pop open like the fastest coding language I knew how to do at the time was VB. So Visual Basic. Yeah, it was like,
I'm a technical
for Windows. Oh, perfect. All right, cool. So Visual Basic, I don't think Visual Basic's still a thing anymore.
No, I think
It's,
no.
yeah, it's probably long been.
They're still doing VB.net though.
Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, this was even before .NET. So so I pulled it up. I started building this thing, and I started just putting it out there on my website for people to download. And so many people were saying good things about it that I just kept working on it, right? And I was just like, for fun, one time I put a little donate button on the top of it, and I was like, no one's ever gonna do this, like at all, ever. But someone gave me like $50 once on it. Like I think 2 people have donated on that thing, and I got $50, and I was like, that is insanely crazy. And I wanted to refund the guy. But like,
No, he was probably like, this thing, like,
nope,
that was
it's great. He
Yeah.
goes, keep doing it. So I kept making more updates on this thing, and it's just it got really complex, and now it like runs on multiple monitors, so you could have like set up tournaments with projectors to show the scores and all sorts of crazy stuff. There was even a version that I made that has an internal network server in it where you can use your cell phone to like upload your scores. And it goes to the main system, and then it goes up to the projector and stuff. And it was pretty cool, except it was like, it run through the internet because I didn't want to have to pay for servers or anything.
Right.
It's like, I didn't have any money for that, So it just ran locally through your local wireless network. And there was just so many problems with it, just like not working right and having all sorts of security issues. So I scrapped it, but it's kind of still there in some of the the latest versions of it. But I haven't touched that thing since like 2012 or 2013.
Well, it's on your
But it
website
still works.
at Danesi.com if anyone.
Yeah, it still works.
And you can still donate. He's got a.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. I don't even know what PayPal address that even goes to. Pretty old. And I don't even have the code to update that anymore, so I can't take it out.
All right. So it's
So-
for nostalgia.
It's there for nostalgic purposes right now. I can't fix any bugs in it. I'm sorry. I'd have to rewrite it from scratch. I don't feel like it.
You don't want to put it on the cloud.
But no, 'cause I don't want to pay for stuff. Like I'd have to, I'd have to pay for the servers and stuff like that. And it just doesn't seem like a thing. Plus, there's all sorts of other tournament software out there now that like blows it out of the water.
All right.
Like Match Play, I think is a really good one. Yeah.
All right. Let's play a rapid fire question game that we have here. We've now rebranded it as the Hurry Up.
All right. Perfect.
Thank you, John Spades. These are just hurry up questions. Take as quickly as you want. First question. Which of the following movies would make a great pinball machine? Fifth Element, Gremlins, or Goonies? All right. I'm just trolling you, though. Should be. You're up at those.
I'm gonna go with none. None. Let's go with none because all 3 of them are great.
Troll. Sorry, I had to do it. All right, here's the real first question. You ready?
What's my favorite movie, right?
What's your favorite movie out of those 3 movies?
I know, right? No, it's not. No.
Yeah.
That's
No worries.
all right. First question.
Thank you, Discord, for some of these questions. And Donovan Wade helped me write a bunch of these last night. So, better Wisconsin sitcom, Happy Days, or That 70s Show?
That 70s show because I didn't really watch Happy Days very much.
In 10 seconds or less, profess your love for the Mitsubishi Evo.
Oh man, 10 seconds is enough, man. That thing is the ultimate rally car, the ultimate horsepower to weight ratio car. Handles amazingly.
Denon or Pioneer?
Pioneer because Denon hasn't proved itself yet.
What's your favorite song track you created or recorded?
That's unfair. I have no idea.
can't say your favorite. I told them that question was...
Dude, okay, wait. Final Resist soundtrack as a whole, I'm most proud of right now.
Okay.
And I think it only because it's new. But if you haven't listened to it, go take a listen to it and tell me if it's better than TI or not. Well, no, you don't have to go there, dude. You can just grab it from the streaming services.
Okay.
Don't buy it. Yeah.
Better 80s arcade game. Donkey Kong Jr., Spy Hunter, or Popeye. These were my favorite at a pizza joint, so that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, the Donkey Kong Jr. is pretty good, man. Even though it's super repetitive, I have to pick that one.
I liked Popeye. I put a lot.
Did you? I didn't play enough of it.
I put a lot of quarters into trying to save.
Okay, I'm gonna have to. I'll go.
Yeah, it really is. It's just ridiculous.
It's so funny.
It's the favorite Nine Inch Nails album.
Downward Spiral, only because the fun fact is, and sorry, this isn't a short answer, but fun fact because I thought for the longest time that Johnny Cash wrote the song Hurt and Nine Inch Nails remixed it. And it wasn't until like maybe 7 years ago that I learned that Nine Inch Nails wrote the song Hurt and Johnny Cash did a remix or reprise cover.
There's a good documentary. There's a good documentary of whatever the major producer was that did that for Johnny Cash. All right, which is a better TNA multi-ball strategy? Work on the Add-A-Ball or work the grid?
Work the grid nonstop. Yeah, the Add-A-Ball is not worth it. The Add-A-Ball is there just as a little bonus, but that grid, don't ever touch that grid unless you have a ball save running or you're in multi-ball with more than 2 balls in play.
I have a segment.
Touch the grid.
Touch the grid.
Don't touch the grid.
I have a segment called Shitty Movie, but Great Pinball Machine. Examples are like Congo, Last Action Hero, Johnny Mnemonic. We've used those in the past. Here's 3 different ones. Best pinball machine out of these shitty movies. Demolition Man, Terminator 3, or Judge Dredd?
So hard. Okay, Demo Man is... No. Judge Dredd is the better layout. And I only hesitate on that because Demo Man is very good, but Judge Dredd's layout is way better. It has like a triple stack wireform on it, which I don't think ever else has been done anywhere else. Which is pretty cool. But the software was not great.
Best movie out of those 3.
Best movie out of those 3? Probably. Oh man, I don't know. I don't know. Demo Man, probably.
Probably Demo Man. Wesley
Snipes. If I had to get, Wesley Snipes is pretty great.
We know about your payphone. What other past technologies do you miss, sir?
Cassette tapes. So that's a big one for me. They are coming back, which is super weird, actually. But reminds me, I should probably make Final Resistance on cassette tape. Cassettes are great, man. So I have a long story about cassettes if you want to talk about that. Just remind me later. All right, let's talk about cassette tapes. All right, so we'll pause that first. So I had a Fiero for a while. I'm into cars as well, like as a little side hobby thing. I had this Fiero and it had a cassette player in it, and I kind of restored the Fiero back to its normal, stock configuration, right? No aftermarket stereo, that kind of stuff. But the tape deck was in there, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm gonna have to get some tapes so I can listen to something other than the radio, because radio's just not good anymore.
Right.
So I got myself a cassette recorder. I recorded some like techno music on tapes, some Blake tapes I got on eBay. Started listening to those in the Fiero, and I realized started collecting other tapes, right? So I got like some Nine Inch Nails albums and stuff like that. And I realized there are songs that I had never really listened to on the more on Fragile on Nine Inch Nails. It's a long album. If there are songs on there that I had really never given the time of day. And with a cassette tape, you put that in your car, you really aren't going to be fast forwarding through tracks on there, like skipping songs. You don't do that. You just listen to the whole thing.
Right.
And it really makes you appreciate what the artist did for that album. An album is supposed to be listened to from front to back. It's not supposed to be have songs off of it and then just, skipping the rest of the stuff. You're supposed to just listen to it all the way through. And it's very intentional. Cassette tapes are very intentional, and so is vinyl.
Yeah.
But if I'm sitting around with my friends and I want to listen to some music, I click on Spotify and I can hit random, and it's just gonna play music, and I'm not going to pay attention to it whatsoever because it's just playing what it thinks I like, right? What the algorithm is telling me to like that time. But cassette tapes and vinyl are so intentional that I have to actually walk over to where it's set up, pick out something, and say, I'm going to listen to this, right? And stick that tape in there, play it, and listen to it all the way through because I'm not going to step back over there and skip any music and skip any songs, right? So it's a really interesting way to look at that stuff. So when I'm in the Fiero and I've got 5 tapes in front of me, right?
Yeah.
And I say I have to pick between these 5 tapes on my way to work today, and I'm looking at them, and at first you're like, oh, I don't want to listen to any of these. I want to listen to something different, like the Prodigy, and I'm like, I don't have a Prodigy tape in here, so I pick Monster Magnet, right? It's just like done. All right, put it in, and you actually, I feel like I made the right choice though by picking that. Like it was what my brain wanted out of those 5 choices, and it was great. I felt like I made the right decision.
I've been listening to albums nonstop now. And I like listening to John Spates and Tim Hood and the Wormhole. They're vinyl collectors, so they got me in doing that. And so now I just go to Apple Music and I'll just play the album from the start.
Yeah, you play the album from the start, just all the way through the album, and let it stop. Don't let it.
When was the last time somebody listened to Dark Side of the Moon all the way through? You're making a mistake if you haven't done it, because I just did it the other night.
Yeah, it's an experience, and then the artists do that purposely. Like when you lay out tracks for an album, it's very, very like it's critical to put those in an order that tells the story that you're trying to get across, right? And for like an example is like the TNA soundtrack tells a story, but I didn't have to do that when I created the album because I did that when I made the machine. I made Reactor 1 through 9 tell a story musically as you get through the game. So then when I did the album, it was real easy because I'm like, oh, we'll just put the reactors in order on the album and be done. There you go. Because it's already there. But yeah, like artists do it all the time. Yeah, every single album. It's not just randomly thrown in there.
All right, 2 more questions. We're back.
All right, let's go.
22nd was over. Best sports-related pinball machine out of these 4.
Out of these 4. Okay.
I'm going to give you BMX.
Okay.
Bonsai Run. Roller Games. Or World Cup Soccer.
Okay, these are hard. So I'm going to eliminate some. Can I do it that way?
Okay, no, you can do whatever.
Okay, so I'm eliminating World Cup Soccer because I had one. I didn't find it terribly fun. It was okay. Okay, I know. Hold on.
That's my favorite game.
There's other things. Okay, I didn't find it terrible for some reason. Really? Oh man, I'm sorry. But I want. So I love older games, right? Just what we're gonna say that right now, right? So WPC era games, I like them and I really enjoy and appreciate them. But if you throw like System 11 games in front of me or early Bally's in front of me, I'm going to go for those before I go for the WPC games.
Okay.
So World Cup Soccer is still a very fun game. There's no such thing as an unfun pinball machine, okay? There's no such thing. I don't care if it's a Raven or what. Like, you get your buddies, go play Raven. It's amazing. You're going to have a fun time no matter what. Okay, doesn't matter. So, World Cup Soccer, get rid of that one. BMX is really awesome. It's also very, very rare. So, it's just like hard body except less funny, and like, but I'm gonna eliminate that one too. But it is really, really fun. It's super, super fun.
2 left. Roller games.
I know. I'm gonna have to eliminate roller games. Also very, very fun game. But yeah, Bonsai Run wins that one out of all 4 of those. So Bonsai Run's super cool. Like, it's very, very unique, and the story behind it's really, really cool.
Wow, we don't have to geek off on the story.
Dude, I could geek on stuff like that all day.
I love Bonsai Run, and when we started here in COVID, I have a buddy that comes here, John Rue, and he never played pinball before. And so he comes and he sees this machine. It's in the corner. We put it in the corner because we don't want to move it because everything works.
Mhm.
And when you move pinball machines, things break. And we're so freaked out about that magnet bringing it to the upper play field that we don't want to touch it. We just want to leave Bonsai Run alone where it is. And he played it nonstop, and he just got addicted to Bonsai Run. But the problem with it, it's not a great tournament game. We had to change a lot of things because they flip jump all damn day. So
yeah, absolutely. The same thing with roller games too. You just shoot the wall all the time.
Yeah.
It does random stuff.
all right, well, Bonsai's a winner. That's awesome.
Bonsai is the winner in that one, but it's again, no unfun pinball here.
All right, finally, favorite pinball expo or show to attend?
Ooh, so it used to be TPF, and that's because that was big. That's where we all came to, but recently it's been Houston Arcade Expo because of how just raw, and it's just one big party. Everybody's there. No one's taking themselves too seriously, all having a great time, and it's becoming the meetup point for all my friends I don't get to see very often.
Yeah, I kind of led you down on that one because it's my favorite. It is actually.
It's so good. Yeah.
It's going to be in this October. In fact, the exact dates are October 11th, 12th, and 13th at the Houston Marriott Westchase. And I wrote this. For ticket info, go to HoustonArcadeExpo.com. What day are you performing?
So that news is I can't go this year. Yeah, it's 1 week before Expo, and we have to get the Pinball Olympic thing running. So
Going to both. The wormholers. So we're gonna.
nice.
But
Get crazy. Make sure to get your Pinball Olympics tickets.
Okay, we got to do it.
We got to watch for them. They'll go on sale a few weeks before Expo.
Okay. So that I will see you at Expo in Chicago then.
Yep, I will be there.
With the wormhole. So, hey, man, thanks so much. I'm sorry you're not performing this year at the Houston Arcade Expo. It's always been a great show you put on there. But thanks for this. This has been fantastic. I really appreciate it.
It was a lot of fun. Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Where can people find you?
I don't know. That we pinball. I'm in the back, just working away. But like if you need some information about what I'm doing, what I'm working on, and stuff like that, you can go to my website or. I rarely post on Facebook, but if it's something important, I'll post something there. But, I respond to emails. So.
Well, Scott, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, brother. Thank you so much, Scott Danesi. Man, I love doing these. And thank you so much for everyone for the awesome IMs and emails we're getting at wormholepinball@gmail.com. It's really nice to hear that you guys are liking the podcast and liking what we're doing on the stream and everything we're doing here. So, because we're having the time of our lives. So thank you so much. What's going on here is a little remodel. And that's why we're closed. We're on the construction. And the place is just going to get better and better. It's just blowing my mind. So please follow us on all the socials, and SpaceCityPinball.com really is the best place to see when we are open and all of our upcoming tournaments. Next week, I am interviewing another cool dude. That's Co from Quarter Drop Arcade. You can check him out on Instagram. Awesome videos. Shout out to a friend of the program. I've always wanted to say friend of the program. Kale Hernandez from Electric Batcat. He sent us an email. He goes, hey, book Co from Quarter Drop Arcade. And guess what? I did. So I am booked solid with great upcoming guests for the next month and a half. So tell your friends about us. And that's it. All right. For Wormhole Pinball, I am Jamie Burchell. Oh, I have a new sign off. It comes from our only rule here at the Wormhole. Don't be an asshole.